Where does the truth really start? And more to the point, where does it stop? In the explosive new season premiere of Sister Wives, we watched Meri Brown, formerly the quiet, reserved first wife, dish out what can only be called a verbal dismantling of Cody Brown himself. But what you didn't see on television, that's only the surface. What if the footage that made it onto TLC's cameras was carefully trimmed, cut, and reassembled to hide the full story? What if Meri's anger wasn't just about one argument, but years of financial betrayals, legal disputes, and deeply personal humiliation? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden layers of that season premiere. Leaked production memos, courtroom whispers, and confidential testimony all depict a very different reality from the smiling family front. And when you do hear all the details, you'll see why insiders are dubbing this the beginning of the end of the Brown dynasty. Remember, this is the same Meri who used to plead with Cody for even the tiniest crumb of respect, while secretly gazing on as Robyn rose to the top of the family food chain. The same Meri who was informed her input was less valuable than others, and yet here she is, in a crowded living room, shouting back at the man who spent years keeping her quiet. According to one production insider, TLC bosses couldn't believe what they were hearing as Meri ranted about Cody on camera. A few questioned whether the network could broadcast the footage unedited, in fear of a legal backlash. That says it all about how incriminating her statements were. Although, here is where this gets even more unbelievable. According to several insiders, Meri's tirade wasn't impromptu. It was scripted. Evidence indicates she had already consulted lawyers and accountants prior to cameras ever rolling. In other words, this wasn't just a reality television outburst. It was the opening shot of a much bigger war. The season opener gave us a taste of Meri's fury, but what TLC didn't show, that's where the real story begins. Exclusive notes from someone present on set that day reveal that Meri's confrontation with Cody lasted more than 90 minutes. On television, you only saw a few edited minutes, carefully chopped up to appear as just another marital spat. But our source tells us the fight escalated into areas TLC has skirted for years: money, fraud, and favoritism. What was edited out? Meri insists that Cody account for the $200,000 of family money that disappeared during the move to Flagstaff. Witnesses say she stared right at Robyn and declared, "We all know where it went." That line never made it to the final cut. Consider this for a second. Why would TLC cut out something like that? To keep Cody safe? To keep Robyn safe, or to keep themselves, the network, safe from involvement in money secrets? They'd rather the world not know. But here's the behind the scenes twist. Production crew members heard Meri inform Janelle, off camera, that she had documents ready in case Cody kept lying. According to one staffer, it went like this. It was like Meri came to war prepared. She wasn't just ranting, she was compiling a case. And that case, rumor has it, is more than just a television drama. We're talking about legal filings, possibly civil, possibly criminal, that could drag Cody and Robyn into courtrooms far away from the TLC set. Remember, this isn't the first time the Browns' finances have raised eyebrows. Leaked property deeds, questionable business ventures, and inconsistent tax records have all been reported in the past. But for Meri to speak out on camera in front of Cody, with lawyers allegedly already backing her, that marks a turning point big time. And here is the thing that makes it even more dramatic. Sources claim TLC cameras caught Meri actually standing up, pointing at Cody and saying, "You can't silence me anymore." The room went silent. Cody's face, one producer said, went from red to white in seconds. If that is what we didn't see in the premiere, just imagine what else has been left on the cutting room floor. For over a decade, fans have seen Meri Brown struggle to maintain her spot within the family. She was Cody's first wife, the lawfully wedded wife for years, the mother who raised the children before most of the rest even entered the equation. And yet, season after season, what did she receive? Distance, isolation, excuses. In this explosive season premiere, we witnessed a different Meri, a woman who looked like she had finally decided enough was enough. During one of the most tense exchanges, Meri told Cody point blank, "I've begged for your time. I've begged for your attention, and you've handed it all to Robyn." For fans who've been following the series since the early days, That line hit like a thunderclap. But it wasn't just the words, it was the way she said them. Witnesses in the room say Meri's voice shook, not from fear, but from years of suppressed anger boiling to the surface. And then came the cutaway shots. Robyn crying, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, looking every bit the innocent bystander. But those who were actually on set insist Robyn's reaction wasn't nearly as fragile as TLC portrayed. One crew member leaked this. Robyn wasn't crying. She was smirking until the cameras turned in her direction. That is a different narrative than what fans were given, and it fits a pattern that is becoming increasingly difficult to deny. Think of the optics. Cody nearly radiates whenever Robyn speaks, brushing aside Janelle's questions and shutting down Meri with icy indifference. This season's pilot episode just made the favoritism irrefutable. And that favoritism, Meri intimated, isn't emotional. It is financial. Because if Meri's insinuations about dwindling funds were accurate, Robyn wasn't merely Cody's favorite wife. She was the recipient of choices that reduced the others to struggling. Now here is where things become even more raw. When Meri uttered, "I should have left years ago," you could hear the sound of an audible gasp in the studio. For the first time, it wasn't only home fans wondering why she remained, it was Meri herself. Here is what you have to know about reality television. You only see what the producers want you to see. The Sister Wives season premiere is a text case book 1. Insiders have confirmed that at least a half of Meri's tussle with Cody didn't air. Why? Because those moments didn't just make Cody appear bad. They raised questions TLC doesn't want to answer. One anonymous editor explained it this way: "We were instructed to make it look like a normal family disagreement. But it wasn't. It was money. Lots of money." Audiences witnessed Meri discussing being overlooked. That is safe, feel, good television. But what they weren't shown was her insisting that Cody must explain how he could pay for Robyn's $890,000 Flagstaff estate, while explaining to the other wives that there wasn't enough for necessities. Just imagine that. A scene in which a wife confronts her husband directly for being financially discriminatory, reduced to a few moments of sorrowful music and tears from Robyn. And another trick that TLC employed, splicing of reactions, that crying shot of Robyn that you just witnessed. Multiple insiders insist that moment was filmed hours later in a different part of the set. They placed it after Meri's outburst to make Robyn look like the victim. It's manipulative editing, and it worked. Viewers at home felt sorry for Robyn, but if the footage had been aired uncut, fans might have seen her differently. Maybe even as the one profiting most from the family's chaos. The most shocking detail: a call sheet leaked from the set supposedly indicates a halt in filming immediately after Meri screamed about fraud. Cameras halted for almost 40 minutes as producers grappled with whether to continue filming. That pause never aired. So consider this. If TLC is going to conceal explosive accusations made against one of its own star wives, what else are they keeping under wraps for viewers? Because let's be clear, this wasn't about saving face for Meri. This was all about defending the Brown family brand, and, by association, defending TLC's bottom line. If you want to get to the source of Meri's tantrum, ignore the tears, ignore the screaming. Follow the money. Cody has been telling the wives, and the camera crew, over the years that the family is broke. That Coyote Pass is not going to be developed, that relocating was too costly, that sacrifices had to be made. But as Meri noted in that never-aired segment, the sacrifices always fell on the same group. Take Robyn's Flagstaff house. Public records indicate it was bought for about $900,000, a huge mansion with room for her kids, her business endeavors, and naturally, her position as Cody's favorite. While Meri was bounced into a rental home without any real estate under her name, without a stake in assets she helped create. Fans long suspected there was favoritism at play, but Meri's allegations hardened suspicion into something more tangible: accusation of misuse. She asked on television, "How can you claim there is no money for me, for Janelle, for Christine? But there is always money available for Robyn." That line never aired, but insiders say Cody's reaction was telling. He didn't deny it. Instead, he deflected, shifting blame to TLC's paychecks, to property taxes, even to Meri's supposed lack of contribution. A defense that producers apparently decided was too damaging to his image to broadcast in full. And then there's the LLCs. Yes, the family has several business filings, some with connections to Robyn, others with connections to Coyote Pass, that quietly named Cody and Robyn as managers. Meri left in the cold, Janelle. Mentioned barely at all. Christine not mentioned at all. That dynamic is significant. Because when Meri said to him, "I built this family with you, and you erased me from it," she wasn't speaking of love, she was talking about the financial erasure that's been playing out for years. Robyn's kids in private schools, Robyn's online jewelry business propped up with family funds. Robyn's mortgage payments were secured while others were told to be patient. Meri's explosion in the season opener wasn't random. It was the culmination of years of watching her role shrink while watching Robyn's empire grow. And if what Meri hinted at, the missing $200,000, is true, this isn't just a story about favoritism. It's a story about financial fraud. Meri's outburst didn't just shock Cody, it sent ripples through the entire family dynamic. For years, Christine and Janelle have carried their own grievances, but they rarely jumped into Meri's battles. This time, it was different. According to set leaks, Christine was the first to break the silence. After Meri's accusations about missing funds, Christine leaned forward and said, "She's not wrong, Cody. We've all seen it." That line didn't make the final cut, but crew members insist it hit Cody like a punch to the gut. For a guy accustomed to pitting wives against one another, it was a surprise to see Christine defend Meri. And Janelle, she allegedly produced her own receipts. Sources say she mentioned unpaid property tax on Coyote Pass, reminding Cody that while Robyn's house was protected, the family's valued land remained in limbo. One producer described the moment as the closest we've ever seen Janelle come to outright rebellion. The tension in that room was palpable. On one side, Cody and Robyn, defensive, cornered, scrambling to control the narrative. On the other, Meri, Christine, and Janelle, finally aligned, voices raised, exposing the cracks that fans have suspected for years. But here's where TLC's editing is most telling. Rather than present this united front, the last episode broke to talking heads, to extended pauses, to Cody going on about being misunderstood. The wives never presented themselves standing together defiantly. Why not? Because that solidarity undermines the very drama TLC feeds on. And still, those who witnessed it say it transpired. One insider summed it up succinctly. For the first time, Cody looked outnumbered. He didn't know what to do. Christine even pushed it further, directly questioning him. Are you building a family, or are you building Robyn's kingdom? Undefined, that question seemed to linger in the air, unaddressed, before the cameras were suddenly cut off. And in that instant, the dynamics changed. Undefined for years, Cody's power was based on splitting his wives. But while Meri hurled accusations at him, and Christine and Janelle refused to remain quiet, Cody's grip on power started to lose its hold. The explosive premiere wasn't merely about Meri speaking her mind. Undefined, it was about the other wives catching on too. If ever there was a moment when Cody Brown's facade broke wide, it was then. With Meri taking the lead and Christine and Janelle supporting her, Cody didn't remain composed. He burst. According to insiders, his voice was raised so high that boom mics on the crew had to be lowered. His initial defense denial, "That is not true. None of that is true," he growled, pacing the room like a trapped beast. But when pushed for details, Cody dodged. Suddenly, it wasn't about Robyn's mansion. It wasn't about the missing $200,000. It was about Meri's betrayal. Cody reportedly yelled, "You've been against me for years. Don't pretend this is about money when it is about you being disloyal." Classic deflection, and fans who've seen him long enough know the drill. Turn every accusation back at the wives, deflect the blame, steer clear of the receipts. But this time, the wives did not back down. Witnesses describe Meri laughing, a harsh, sharp laugh, before she responded, "Disloyal? I've been loyal to a man who erased me. If that is loyalty, then what do you call siphoning family funds into one wife's bank account?" The room fell silent. Even producers held back, and Cody, he lashed out again, this time pounding his hand on the table so forcefully that the crew winced. "You don't understand how hard I've worked for this family," he yelled. But the wives weren't buying it, Christine reportedly shot back. "No, Cody, you've worked for Robyn." And here's what TLC didn't air. Cody storming out of the room mid-filming cameras recorded him tearing off his mic pack and complaining about being ambushed. For close to 20 minutes, production tried to talk him down before he came back, red-faced and visibly agitated. When the footage was eventually edited, what audiences saw was a sanitized version, Cody brooding, sighing, complaining about ungrateful wives. What they didn't see was the raw, unfiltered meltdown of a patriarch, watching his empire disintegrate in real time. Because make no mistake, this wasn't just Cody losing his temper. This was Cody losing control, with Cody storming out and the wives holding the line. Everyone looked to Robyn, and, as expected, her first action was tears. Crew members tell us she reached for a tissue before even saying anything, her voice shaking as she glanced at Meri and Christine. "I don't know why you think I am the enemy. I didn't ask for any of this." To viewers who didn't live it, it may have seemed sympathetic, but those in the know say the wives weren't fooled. Meri, in particular, wasn't impressed. She apparently interjected brusquely, "You didn't need to ask, Robyn, you profited from it." That exchange, Meri standing up to Robyn, was apparently charged. Janelle nodded in assent. Christine glared daggers, and for the first time, Robyn's tears didn't melt the room. They toughened it up. Robyn's second line of defense: blame the network. She reportedly insisted that TLC was making decisions regarding money, that she didn't have input on the contracts or the payments. But production insiders confirmed that wasn't entirely true. Several business filings feature Robyn's name and Cody's name together, linking her directly to assets and income streams that did not involve the other wives. Christine allegedly shot back, "So TLC purchased your home? TLC paid for your mortgage, or was that money from our family?" Robyn's face fell, and that is when the cameras supposedly cut away. What remained in the final broadcast was Robyn crying about being misunderstood. What got omitted was the moment her excuses fell apart under the pressure of the other wives' interrogations. One insider succinctly summed up, "Robyn has always used tears to deflect, but this time the wives weren't fazed. They saw the pattern too clearly." And here is the kicker. In leaked raw footage, Robyn is reported to have whispered to Cody off camera, "You don't have to explain anything to them." That line, if broadcast, would have shattered the tenuous illusion of innocence TLC strained so hard to preserve. Instead, the public saw a cleaned-up version. But others in the room noticed something different. Robyn cornered, her defenses crumbling, her favored wife status finally revealed, and for Meri, it was the turning point. Up to this point, it could have been just another blowout argument, but Meri saw to it that it wasn't allowed to end there. According to several who were there, Meri didn't just accuse, she threatened. She supposedly informed Cody and Robyn that she possessed proof of the money games being played, proof that extended way beyond rumor. One insider detailed the scene thus: she reached into her purse, took out a folder, and placed it on the table. She did not open it, but the message was obvious. She had receipts. Receipts for what? Sources indicate they were duplicates of property records, bank transfers, and even possibly communications related to the infamous Coyote Pass fiasco. Meri allegedly asserted that more than $200,000 of family money were channeled to pay for Robyn's bills, when the other wives were left in limbo. Cody's reaction: outrage. He supposedly charged Meri with snooping and referred to her as vindictive. But pay attention to what he didn't do. He didn't dispute the numbers, and this is where things get even more intriguing. Production sources buzz that TLC executives started getting jumpy the minute Meri uttered legal action. At one point, she reportedly said, "If this doesn't change, I'll let the judge decide." That's the kind of line you'll never see on camera. Because the second lawyers and judges enter the conversation, the network risks turning a family drama into a criminal or civil scandal. And TLC has no interest in opening that box. But think about it. Why would Meri take documents to a family shoot if she wasn't going to use them? Why would she risk the confrontation if she didn't have backup? This wasn't just a wife bashing out. This was a wife building a case. And here is the kicker. One of the crew members says they witnessed Meri slipping the folder to Christine after shooting ended. Christine reportedly said, "We'll need these." If that's true, it means Meri's battle isn't ending in the living room. It's heading somewhere far more dangerous, for Cody, for Robyn, and maybe even for TLC itself. The moment Meri slammed down that folder, the drama stopped being just a family squabble. Suddenly, TLC found itself with a bona fide problem. Several insiders report that production executives were present that day, observing from the sidelines. And when Meri made veiled references to judges and evidence, panic went wild. Ponder this: TLC has constructed Sister Wives into one of its most lucrative shows. Millions of viewers tune in to see the Browns fall apart. But the moment those fall aparts pass over into legal fraud, the network might be implicated. If funds from relatives were manipulated under their lenses, how long before fans will begin questioning if TLC turned a blind eye? One of the crew remembers a producer saying into his headset, "Cut cameras now." There was no footage taken for almost half an hour as executives met behind closed doors with Cody and Robyn. It was then left to Meri and Christine to pace the set and seethe, waiting in frustration, that insider claims. When shooting resumed, it was different. The wives were more subdued, Cody was still defensive but less incendiary, and Robyn's tears came on demand. In short, the actual fight had been edited out. What the audience subsequently saw was the safe version, the one that grabbed headlines but wouldn't get the network sued. Supposedly behind the scenes, TLC issued new instructions to the crew: don't shoot anything frank about fraud, missing money, or legal repercussions. Stick to the drama being emotional, not monetary, because emotions will sell shows' financial scandals. Those invite lawyers. Here is the irony. By trying to bury the financial side of the fight, TLC may have only fueled the wives' determination. One insider claims Christine left the set muttering, "If they won't show the truth, we'll show it ourselves." And maybe that's the part TLC fears most. Because if Meri, Janelle, and Christine ever go public with their documents, the drama won't just be confined to the show. It will spill over into courtrooms, tabloids, and headlines that TLC can't censor or regulate. For the moment, the network is tiptoeing a tightrope, making money off of Cody's turmoil while hoping Meri doesn't toss the match that may incinerate it all. When the cameras cut, the drama didn't subside. If anything, the actual fallout happened after the wives packed up and went back to their individual homes. For Meri, the showdown was cathartic. Insiders claim she returned to her rental that evening relieved but also traumatized, telling a close friend that she had finally said out loud what I've been holding in for 10 years. That sort of statement doesn't just disappear when the cameras are off. It hangs in there, it festers, it energizes the next step. Christine, in the meantime, apparently phoned her children as soon as she walked in the door, describing how she'd stood up to Meri and how, for once, Cody couldn't talk his way out of it. One insider says she reportedly told a producer later, "It was the first time in years I felt like we were on the same side." Janelle, the practical wife to the end, is said to have spent hours rummaging through her own documents in the aftermath of the brawl. If Meri had evidence, Janelle needed to know what she could do: taxes, property titles, business records. It was no longer about feelings but about proof. And Cody, he didn't handle it well. According to sources, he shut himself in Robyn's mansion, enraged by what he referred to as a betrayal agreement among the wives. He allegedly ran late into the night about being ambushed, convinced TLC would fix the narrative in editing. But here's the problem. While Cody thought he still held the upper hand, his kids reportedly started asking questions too. Several of the older Brown children who've long been skeptical of their father's favoritism were told about Meri's accusations. One even asked outright, "Dad, did you really use family funds for Robyn's home?" That question, posed by his own daughter, allegedly infuriated Cody. Robyn, meanwhile, doubled down on her typical coping mechanism. To friends, she framed herself as the victim one more time, saying she never requested special treatment and that the other wives were jealous. But in Flagstaff, whispers told a different tale. Neighbors who'd seen her sprawling home, her cars, and her lifestyle found Meri's accusations far more believable than Robyn's tears. So while the episode painted the fight as dramatic but contained, the truth is the Browns left that set more divided than ever. For the first time, Meri wasn't just the isolated wife in the corner. She was the tinder that set fire to a blaze Cody could never extinguish. When the episode was finally broadcast, TLC believed they had covered adequately enough over the rough points. But no such luck. The fans weren't so gullible. Social media went on fire minutes after the premiere finished. Hashtags such as #JusticeForMeri and #CodyExposed trended worldwide, Fans analyzed every word, every glance, every uncomfortable pause, and the majority opinion was clear. Meri had finally expressed what everyone else was thinking. Plenty of comments poured in. She has carried this family on her back for years, and this is how he treats her. Cody is building Robyn's kingdom with everyone else's money. I believe every word Meri said. You could see the truth all over her face. The criticism wasn't limited to Cody. Robyn also received a wave of criticism. Her fans accused her of fascism, playing the victim while getting to live in the mansion, enjoy the security, and benefit from the favoritism that the rest did not get. Memes of her crying face spread like wildfire on the internet, with people ridiculing the act as Oscar-worthy. And then there were the petitions. Various fan communities put up online petitions asking TLC put an end to protecting Robyn and Cody through editing and releasing uncut footage. Others went so far as to threaten boycotts if the network provided more airtime to Christine, Janelle, and Meri to tell their side of events. This was the worst-case scenario for TLC. The Browns' drama pays, but only if they think they are seeing the truth. The moment the audience feels they are being manipulated, trust is lost, and ratings go with it. TLC insiders claim that executives were scrambling to react. Meetings were said to have been had regarding damage control and leaning into the backlash in future episodes. Undefendone even considered taking the next set of storylines and presenting them around Cody being held accountable to placate outraged fans. And as for Cody, Undefendone was furious. Undefined sources close to the family indicate that he called the reaction from fans brainwashing and blamed TLC for editing him to present himself as the villain. But nothing could drown out the thousands of messages labeling him precisely that, the villain of Sister Wives. For years, Meri was the silent one, the wife on the sidelines, the woman fans pleaded to leave. Undefined no, by going public, she became something entirely different, the people's champion. And that change frightened Cody and Robyn more than anything. Otherwise, once the fans pick sides, the future of the show is out of Cody's hands. The fallout from Meri's explosive confrontation wasn't just about one argument, one episode, or even one season. It was about the future of the Brown family, and the very survival of Sister Wives as a show. For more than a decade, Sister Wives sold itself as a groundbreaking experiment. A man balancing 4 marriages, navigating faith, family, and modern challenges. But somewhere along the way, that dream crumbled. Christine left. Janelle held her ground, and now Meri, the supposedly quiet, passive one, had spoken up in a manner that could not be overlooked. The larger context is this. The very basis of Cody's authority is crumbling. In polygamy, the patriarch is to be at the center, the glue that binds the family together. But what if each wife leaves or openly defies that authority? What happens when the head of the family becomes the most unpopular person in the household? And on national television, Cody can try to spin it. He can blame editing, social media, even haters. But the reality is written across every episode: his favoritism toward Robyn, his coldness toward the others, his obsession with control, masked as family unity. It's all been exposed, and Meri's confrontation marked a turning point. Not because it was the initial revolt, but because it was the most public, the most direct, and the most impossible to ignore. TLC understands it as well. That is why behind-the-scenes types are offering up speculation on how producers are already plotting their course correction. Do they keep the show going as Sister Wives, with Cody and Robyn holding on to their version of events? Or should it transform into something new altogether? Maybe after Christine, Janelle, and Meri take back control of their lives? The public has already spoken. Ratings surge when the wives confront Cody, when the empire is revealed to be cracking. The viewers do not wish for the fairy tale anymore. They want the truth, and the truth is this: the Brown family is broken beyond salvage. The unity dream has given way to bitterness, lawsuits, court orders, and now a public uprising directed by Meri herself. The larger picture, Sister Wives, isn't merely chronicling the demise of a marriage. It is chronicling the demise of a patriarch and the emergence of women who won't stay quiet any longer. In the universe of Sister Wives, there has been drama, there has been crying, there have been shocking twists every season. But what transpired in this season premiere did not feel the same. It wasn't simply a fight or an argument or another cringe-worthy family dinner. It was a public statement that the rules of old no longer existed. Meri choosing to shut Cody down wasn't only for her own hurt. It was for rewriting the narrative. For years, she was the wife in the background, the one in the shadows, the woman who humbly suffered while everyone else stepped into the spotlight. But all it took was one blazing stand. She was the voice of defiance, and that makes all the difference, because Cody has always depended on quiet. On the wives holding their tongues, on anger remaining locked away, on cameras showing just enough to keep people curious. But now, the silence is shattered. Christine departed, Janelle confronted, and Meri, believed to be the most devoted, simply ruined him on national television. For Cody, this is not merely humiliating, it is disastrous. His reputation as patriarch leader, man in control, has been destroyed. Even if Robyn supports him, the dynamics of power have changed. The wives who dumped him now have the sympathy of the viewers, while Cody and Robyn are getting increasing pushback. For TLC, the stakes are equally high. Do they continue to defend Cody, trying to milk a few more seasons of drama? Or do they switch to the real story, the emergence of strong, independent women who escaped a broken system? The ruling might determine the destiny of one of their most popular shows. And for viewers, this is vindication. For a long time, they've seen Cody roll his eyes, manipulate, and belittle the women in his life. Now, at last, someone spoke the words aloud, on camera, before the world. This wasn't just another Sister Wives moment. This was history in the making. The day Meri Brown stood up for herself and pushed the truth into the limelight. And that is why, whatever comes next, the Brown family and the show itself will never be the same again. And so here we are. The dust from that season premiere still hangs in the air, but the effect is undeniable. Meri Brown, who had previously remained quiet and in the background, upended Sister Wives in one explosive showdown. Cody needed to maintain control. Robyn needed to defend the kingdom. TLC needed another season of family chaos without rocking the boat too severely. But Meri didn't play along this time. She drew a line in the sand, and in doing so, she revealed all that Cody has sought to conceal. His favoritism, his unsuccessful leadership, his broken family. The truth is out now. The fans have aligned. Social media is louder than ever before. And behind closed doors, you can guarantee the Browns are working overtime to try and contain the fallout. But some things can't be contained. Not anymore. Christine has already established a new life. Janelle made it clear she won't be quieted, and now Meri has shown she is not afraid to talk to Cody about it on his own home ground. That leaves one giant question hanging in the air. How much longer can Robyn cling to before the whole house of cards comes crashing down? For Cody, the hard truth is brutal. His fantasy of being the hub of a cohesive plural family is over. All that is left is the rubble, shattered marriages, lost faith, and a heritage which will be recalled not as love and harmony, but betrayal and collapse. And for viewers, the curtains are drawn for the most explosive season in Sister Wives history. Every episode from now on seems to have the potential to be the one where it all starts to come apart. So buckle up, if the season premiere was this dramatic. Just imagine what is to come. Because one thing is certain, the tale of the Browns is not yet done. The cracks have deepened to canyons. Undefined the wives have gotten their voices. Dan, the man who used to say he was the leader of it all, is running short on time. This is no longer Sister Wives. This is the downfall of an empire.